Hey guys, Nick here. So today we're going to be taking a look at the 2025's Honda CRF125 big wheel and the 250F. Now we're also going to talk about the standard 250F and what makes that a little bit different, but we're really going to be more comparing these two bikes and what makes them stand out and what makes them unique in Honda CRF lineup. Now we'll go through each of these bikes separately and what you need to know about them, and then at the end of the video we'll take them for a spin like we always do. So let's get into it. Now let's first talk about 2025 models. All Honda has done to their trail bike lineup is give them a new graphics package, which is really just the CRF logo. Everything else, all the other panels are red, which they have been in the last few years, and Honda every 2 to 3 years will go through and update these graphics, mainly trickling down and following what they do to their race bike models. And so really outside of that, everything else is the same on these bikes from prior model years. Now, if you haven't looked into one of these recently, you might not have known, but these are fuel injected now. So what that means is there's no carburetor, there's no choke you have to pull when you cold start it. There's also no low fuel reservoir where you would normally turn a dial to go from your main fuel to a lower point on the fuel tank or turning the gas off. But Honda did go through and add a couple of things like a low fuel gauge, and so that kind of works as like your reservoir setting where you would normally go and turn it and put it in the reservoir when you run out of fuel on your main setting to get back. This now has a low fuel light, and so when that light comes on, usually means it's time to turn around and go back home. Now both of these bikes are air cooled, so there's no coolant reservoir and there's no coolant in any of these units, which helps keeps things affordable and simple. But let's take a close-up and focus on the 125. Now with the 125 model, you actually do have two models to choose from. You have a standard 125F and a 125FB, which is what this model is, which is the big wheel version of it. So this one's going to sit taller, and it's also a little bit longer than the standard 125. Now a majority of buyers are going to gravitate and go towards this because when you jump up from a 110 and you move up, this is going to be a little bit more of a jump, and the standard 125F is going to be a smaller of a jump. And so for most people, when worrying about their kids and them touching the ground, the standard 125 is going to still seem a little bit small on them, which is why most people are going to go gravitate towards this. But if you want to race the bike, depending upon the mini classes and the dirt bike classes you're racing in, some of them will require for these to be in the small wheel version. So it's nice Honda does do an option, but it's really designated for different heights of riders in the 125. And as well, since Honda doesn't do a clutch version on the 110 like some other brands do, their small wheel version of this is supposed to be the more equivalent of that if someone wants to get a clutch or throw their kid onto a clutch machine around the size of a 110. This in small wheel version is very close in seat height to the 110, but it is a little bit longer, which is due to this bike having a longer swing arm, a taller front fork, and a bigger wheel and tire on it, which is going to gravitate this to about a $400 price increase over the standard 125F. And so out the door, you're looking at about $42 out the door, and that's without any extra assembly or prep fees from your dealer. But if you go through a good Honda dealer, you'll be able to get it right out the door at that price or even possibly discounted. And so you can go through my trusted Honda dealer, Jaff Motors, located in Glenville, New York. And so all of their information on screen and as well down below, so be sure to check them out if you're looking into picking one of these bikes up. But now I think it's time we get up close and take a real close-up look around this bike. Now as we get up close to the 125, a couple things I want to make note of. It is a 1-gallon flat fuel tank on this, and you do have a low fuel light, and so that'll come on when you have about, I think about 1/8 of a tank left or 1/4 of a tank left, so you can get your way back off the trail. But coming down here, you of course still have a backup kickstart. Both of these bikes are still electric start, but you still have a backup if needed. This will run if the battery is dead, but you still need a battery in there, of course, to complete the circuit. Now, here's your dipstick. So you just kind of unscrew that. You'll pull it out, clean it off, then you'll dip it in. You don't screw it in, so you kind of push it in like that, and then you'll pull it out, and that's how you check your oil. But to do that, the bike needs to be straight up, and of course, wipe down your dipstick before you do that. Now, there is no oil filter on these motors, on the 125s, so every season, just make sure to change your oil, because there's no filter to filter it out. You have a drain underneath. It's pretty simple and easy to get to. And actually, if I go like this, you can kind of see it right there. There's a little tab to protect it right there, and you've got a skid plate on these, which is nice. Of course, very simple and easy to access your spark plug right there. And as we come to the other side, a couple things to note over here. Under this panel right here, it's two 8mm bolts, and there's a push pin that pushes in. You pull it off. Your battery's going to be located under the seat right in there, in your air filter, and so all that's pretty easy to access. Of course, your shifter over here, kickstand, chain guard, all your chain information right there. But let's hop on it and take a look at the handlebar. Now that we're sitting on the bike, a couple things I want to make note of. On your key, you actually get two keys. There's a key number. You bring that to a locksmith and they will basically make a duplicate key for you. Every bike has a custom key to it, so this key will not work on another 125. Sometimes people think they are all the same. They are not on these. When it turns on, it's hard to see. You kind of see it there for a quick second, but that fuel light will pop on and then it goes away. So that'll pop on, of course, when it actually is low on fuel. And so that's kind of your warning when you normally have a reserve, where you would swap it to reserve. That's kind of telling you now we're on reserve. On your right side, you have your emergency kill, your run switch, you have a green start switch, and you have an orange light there for your check engine light. With the sun, it's going to be hard to see those lights, of course. And then our start. Of course, make sure either you have your clutch pulled in or it's in neutral. This is a 4-speed transmission. It's 1 down and then 3 up. So between first and second is your neutral on these. But they're very simple to learn and easy to learn on. If you want to see how to use like a clutch video, I can make one of those. But these are so easy to use that I can put it in gear and just let the clutch out, and it will basically run and drive without even stalling. You can really kind of feather it out or back into neutral. So if you want a video like that, I can do a how-to. But these are very quiet, very smooth motors, and they really don't get too hot. Now, I think we've covered everything on the 125. So let's transfer over to that 250. Alrighty, now moving on to the 250F. This is a little bit bigger of a bike than the 125, and you definitely notice it. It's got a really nice torquey motor. The fuel injection has made a big difference and upgrade to these bikes. This doesn't perform the same by any means of what the 230 used to be like, and it doesn't resemble the 230 at all. And so the real beauty I find with this bike over the next step up really is into the race bike models, where you get those 250, 450 race bike motors. Is this a really nice mid-range torque monster bike? You can be second, third gear, and you can just roll onto it, and it pulls and it puts you in the seat a good amount, and it's fun. Now, of course, this isn't going to jump or have the pull of a race bike motor by any means, but it isn't any kind of slouch either. I guess the best way to explain the power of this bike is it's a good intermediate rider performance and enjoyer of someone that's had bikes before, but it's not the bike you want to put someone on that has never touched a dirt bike before. You want to have a good understanding of how they work and have ridden them before you throw someone on this. Now, a couple upgrades on the 250F, of course, over that 125, besides the chassis and the bike being overall bigger, is it's a 1.6 gallon fuel tank, so you get a little bit more fuel storage, but you're going to burn a bit more fuel. And you also have a 5-speed transmission versus the 4-speed on that 125. But this is still going to be that 1 down and then 4 up. Now, when it comes to pricing of this bike, of course, you're going to be paying a bit more money than that 125, as you're getting an overall bigger and higher performance machine than that. So this has a sticker of about 5.2 with destination and freight. So that gives you a good rough idea of where these are price range wise, but I think it's really priced fairly of that low 5 range. And then once you have sales tax, depending where you are, you're going to be out the door right about in the mid 5s without any, hopefully, discounts from a dealer or any Honda incentives. But that's enough about numbers. Let's get up close and walk around this bike. Now, something you might have noticed on both of these bikes is these collars and covers over the shocks. Don't remove them, run them, keep them on them. I know some people think they don't look that nice. Trust me, you don't want to get the dust and crap in there. That's why they're there. But anyways, moving on down here, we have our dipstick. A little bit different of a location, of course, with our motor. Same spiel though, check it with the bike straight up. You want to unscrew it, clean it off, and dip it in. You don't want to screw it in to check your oil. And you have an oil filter on the 250F, which you don't have on the 125, which is just two 8mm bolts. It's all aluminum casting, so just be delicate and take your time with these. It is very easy to break, so just take your time. And then down below, well, you're not really going to see, but you have, of course, your drain under the bike, which is protected, and you have a skid plate that's more on the front here, but this one is actually more of a hard plastic and not an aluminum or a metal one like on the 125. Something you get too, which is nice on the 250, is you have disc brakes front and rear. You only have a disc up front and a drum in the back on the 125, so that's a nice little upgrade. Now on this side of the bike, under this panel is going to be your battery. It's about $120, $130 battery. So make sure it stays charged. Throw a tender on it. Wouldn't hurt your wallet. It would save you some money in the long run. But you'll get some good life out of these batteries. But that's really it on this side. Let's go and sit on it. Couple things to know on your handlebar. One of which exactly the same. Same thing with your keys. You got 2 keys, duplicates. File one away. One of them has the key number. The low fuel gauge on this, just like the 125. Your start is a little bit different. It's just a start. There's no lights or any indicators like the 125. But your emergency kill is here on the left side of the handlebar and not built into the cluster as the starter. Of course, your fuel fill, and that's really it. If you can run a non-ethanol fuel, that's more ideal for these bikes, both of them, especially the 250F. But you're not going to hurt them either if you run just regular fuel in them. But I like to run a higher grade non-ethanol fuel in all of my bikes. As well, it also is better long-term sitting in fuel tanks. It's not a super big tank, so it's just going to kind of age a bit better. Let's fire it up. Let's turn our key on. Wait for it to prime. I think it's time we take these for a spin. Well, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you all did enjoy it and learn something from this. If you did enjoy, consider subscribing and help support the channel. Give this video a like, share it with some of your friends, and of course, comment down below if you're thinking about getting one of these, or if you have one currently and what your current thoughts are about it. And there'll be more videos on the way coming very soon. Production should be ramping up in the near future. Once we hit May, we should see a lot more videos produced. And if you have any special or particular video you want to see on the channel, please be sure to comment down below. If it's a Yamaha machine or Honda, any kind of side-by-side, ATV, or dirt bike, if there's something specific you want to see on the channel, let me know down below. As always, thank you all. You guys all have a great day. Bye.